Right.
Show yourself. Alright. Jeremy Coffin, this is speech number 3 with visual aids. Okay, so imagine a world where you guys can defeat any problem, task, or enemy with just your mind. What if you could always be one step ahead of your peers, your adversaries, or even your superiors, and always know what their next move is going to be? I'm not talking about like reading minds or like spying on somebody. Talking about a thought process that you can use in any situation that you're in. It was developed at 20,000 feet by a man that changed the way militaries and businesses around the world operate. The man was John Boyd, and he is considered one of the greatest military minds and theorists of the 20th century. Alright, this is John Boyd. He was born in Erie, Pennsylvania, January 23, 1927. He enlisted in the Air Force at the end of World War II. Although he was too late for the war, he ended up serving in Japan for 6 months after peace was signed. After enlistment, he received a commission and his first college degree in economics from the University of Iowa, and entered flight school to become a pilot in July 1951. From the very beginning of his military career, John Boyd has always been able to really outthink anybody that he came up against. Whenever he was enlisted airman in the Air Force, him and his fellow airmen were living in small mud floor tents in the middle of Japanese winter, just basically freezing, while a unused hangar was standing on the end of the airfield being used by nothing. He ended up taking over that hangar without anybody knowing and converting it into a barracks for all his men. He also convinced his superiors to allow him to enter fighter jet training after his initial flight training, even though all the slots were full. He also excelled as a fighter pilot in MiG Alley during the Korean War. So after becoming basically one of the best fighter pilots in the world, we're here in the nickname 42nd Boyd for being able to begin basically in front of anybody who was behind him and turn the tables on anyone behind him in 40 seconds, and no one has ever been able to defeat him. After becoming one of the best fighter pilots in the world, John Boyd went back to college to get a degree in electrical engineering. In the process, he began to realize that there is a codified way that you can outthink any task or problem. When John Boyd received his degree in engineering, he put it to use developing a way fighter jets in the modern military are developed. So there's some of his military careers. Basically developed a series of charts that computed the different aspects and performance of an airplane in flight. Whether it be at a different altitude, basically dictated how fighter jets were used and how they performed at different aspects of the flight envelope. These charts became known as EM charts, or energy to maneuverability. To use this knowledge, with the United States military developed multiple fighter programs in the Pentagon, which later went on to claim victory in Operation Desert Storm or the Iraq Wars and Afghanistan. Some of the fighters that he helped develop were the F-15, the F-16, the A-10. These are all great fighters that have been used around the world and have essentially never been beaten in combat. Now, while John Boyd was in the process of developing the energy maneuverability theory, he also formulated a decision-making process that would become more important than any of his other works. This would later become known as the OODA loop, and that's mostly what this speech tonight is about. It would be used to revolutionize the way militaries and companies operate around the world. And this is basically what John Boyd considered his OODA loop. It is a decision-making process that one person uses in any task. I mean, you can use it to formulate a plan how to clean your house. You can use it as a way to defeat an enemy in time of war. You can use it to be competitive in the business world. Now, the OODA loop gets its name from the 4 key areas of thought that are used in the loop. This is basically, what is the OODA loop? Basically gone through that. Now these 4 key areas: observe, basically observe your surroundings, everything that's going on in the problem or situation that you're having. Orient yourself to all aspects of the task at hand. I mean, place yourself in the most optimal position that you can do it. Decide on the best decision to make for the task. It's basically your hypothesis. And act on the plan that you have made to use direct action. The way the OODA loop gets its name is by continually going through each process over and over again until you're inside or you've outthought every possible problem that could arise in your task. That's where the name OODA loop gets. Here's a more simplified version. You're constantly doing each thing to solve every problem that you're working on. And that's where the term OODA loop gets its name. So after Boyd developed the OODA loop, it became the principal decision-making process for the way the U.S. military fights wars, and also, as I said, can be used in any walk of life. Now, after the U.S.'s victory in Desert Storm, which is one of the greatest victories of the U.S. military, John Boyd spoke at a hearing for the House's Armed Services Committee, saying, any enemy that can maneuver and get inside the thought process of its enemy or of its foe can surely claim victory. That basically means anyone who can constantly update their OODA loop over and over again can claim victory. Now, businesses around the world use this to be better competitive and outthink the process of their adversaries or their competitors. And another place this is used is emergency management, such as ambulance crews basically use the OODA loop. When they pull up onto a scene, they observe, orient, they decide, and they act on what they should do. Now, although we can't always read every outcome, thanks to John Boyd, we have a means to prepare for the worst. As someone who came from humble beginnings, basically someone who had nothing, he definitely left his mark on our way of life. Throughout his life, John Boyd served as a great fighter pilot, respected by his peers, and after leaving the flying world, became an engineer that changed the way modern aircraft are designed and built. And after leaving the military, he became a great thinker and theorist that changed the way we fight and win wars. Although he has long since passed, John Boyd will ever be remembered as the man who changed the world.